Hey guys, it's Gracie, and today I'm going to be making a video about how I knew I liked girls or women. So it's like a video that I've kind of wanted to make for a while, but I wasn't quite sure how to go about making it, what I wanted to say, whether it was even beneficial or interesting or anything. But I think I decided that some aspects of my realization are important in almost like me having a message about what it's like to figure out that you're not straight. So first I want to talk about how I identify. I'm not 100% gay, though I often do use it as an umbrella term. Labels kind of make me uncomfortable because I do identify in the middle of the spectrum, but I'm not directly in the middle. And I know that you don't have to be directly in the middle to identify as bisexual, but part of me feels like I'm lying if I call myself bi and I'm not directly in the middle. But I just wanted to clarify that before going into my whole story on the situation. So where I really want to start off with is 7th grade, which that's not the beginning of the story, obviously. The beginning of the story is when I was conceived and in womb and stuff like that. But 7th grade was really important because it was the first time that someone asked me what I identify with. I feel like that was a lot of pressure considering I was only 12 and a 12-year-old is not going to necessarily understand that. I'm not saying that a 12-year-old can't know that they're gay because there are 12-year-olds that are dating already as straight, so it wouldn't be fair to say you can't know what you are at that age, but definitely it's hard to know, especially for me who is on the middle, because I didn't have a good understanding of my feelings and stuff like that. So when I was asked that, I realized that I hadn't really given a lot of thought to it. For a while I just assumed that I was straight. I didn't realize for a long time that I could be anything other than straight. I just didn't realize that I had the ability. You know all of these things exist, but you forget that oh, that could apply to me, couldn't it? So I hadn't given it a lot of thought. So when someone asked me, I was just oh, I don't know. I didn't think about it. And I think that's really great, honestly, that I felt comfortable enough to be oh, I don't know, rather than just say I was straight automatically. And I do think a lot of that has to come from the fact that my parents didn't shield me from anything like that. They weren't against it. My mom had gay friends and I watched Glee, so it was an accepting environment for the most part, so it didn't scare me. I mean, it would eventually kind of scare me, but at that moment I didn't feel oh no, I can't be that. It was more of oh, I just haven't considered it. Also, before that point, I don't think I'd ever really thought about bisexuality as something. I knew there were people that dated the same sex. I knew there were people that dated the opposite sex. I hadn't really thought of it in an identity way. I just knew there was this kind of relationship and there was this kind of relationship, so I really hadn't thought of that as a label. Though I don't remember my friend telling me about it and being oh, I didn't know that people couldn't be that way. It was kind of weird because it was just I was given the options straight, bi, or gay, and I hadn't really thought of bisexuality as a thing before that point, but just my brain was automatically oh, of course that's a thing. So it was this thing at my table that if you were gay, you're supposed to be I'm this or something. We had different shapes. This was straight, and then I think bi-curious was and bisexuality was kind of a more solid bent, but then I don't even remember what gay was. So right off the bat, I was oh, I don't know. 7th grade was also the first time that I not had a crush on a girl, but that I had a crush on a girl and I knew that she wasn't straight, if that makes sense. And I knew that I had the ability to not be straight. And at the time that this happened, I had my boyfriend, my first ever boyfriend. Well, I technically had a boyfriend before that, but it didn't even last 24 hours. So this was my first boyfriend, though it wasn't really a relationship because we were 12. And so it was kind of hard in that way, especially since she told me that she wanted to kiss me, and I was really like confused over it, because one part of me was like, I felt like if I didn't take this opportunity with a girl, now like would I ever have it again? Which obviously, yeah, you have an opportunity to date several people despite gender for the rest of your life, but like I was like, oh my gosh, do I take this? But I didn't want to ruin what I had with the guy at the time, even though, you know, not really a real relationship. So I like quickly back out of that and try to forget it ever happened, which like the feelings were real, like the interest was real. So I don't know why I didn't think like, oh yeah, that means I'm bisexual, but I didn't. Like I didn't see that as a confirming thing at all at the time. So I didn't like officially confirm my sexuality at that point. So now we move on to 8th grade. So 8th grade, I don't know when I decided that I had stopped questioning or whatever, or stopped thinking I could have an option to be gay, but this was when I entered my phase of like, oh, I wish I wasn't straight. So since then I had broken up with my boyfriend. I just want to clarify, like, it lasted 3 months. We hugged once. Not a relationship, but like, you know. So I wasn't in a relationship or anything like that. But I still had a crush on the guy. So I guess maybe that's why my mind was maybe a little more one track. But he was beginning to enter a serious relationship. We didn't know it was serious at the time, but it lasted a few years after that. And so nothing was happening with him, but I think maybe since I had such a solid crush on him, that's why maybe like I thought I had stopped questioning. I don't know, it was just at some point I was like, yeah, I'm straight. Not a lot of like self-realization happened during this time, but like I just remember, this is kind of significant, that I kept thinking like, I wish I wasn't straight. Girls are so pretty, I wish I wasn't straight. Like, men suck, I wish I wasn't straight. And just kind of stuff like that. And considering I had kind of like past, oh my god, Sherlock. And since I had past experience with like having crushes on girls, I don't know why, I just couldn't get it into my head that I had the ability to not be straight. But just like, I was so caught up in like, I mean, I do know why I thought I was straight, because of like all the heteronormativity. And it sounds like some people are gonna be like, really, heteronormativity? But like, yeah, it was a big thing, and it's a big thing that I want to talk about in this video, because it's why I thought I was straight for so long. I think if I had had more exposure to like gay relationships in media and like movies I had seen and shows I had seen, I would have realized it and accepted it a lot earlier. But I just kept waiting for like this neon sign that was like, Sherlock. I just kept waiting for like this neon sign that was like, you are not a straight, you are gay. I didn't think that I was allowed to be like, oh yeah, I like girls. So then my 8th grade year ended and I'm moving on to freshman year, and this summer is when it finally hit me. So you know, summer, like you can hang out with friends sometimes, but a lot of times you just end up with ton of time to do nothing but just like watch YouTube videos and play Sims. While I was binge watching YouTube, I found the beautiful, amazing YouTubers Rose and Rosie. I was like, oh, they're really cute. So I started to watch more videos, and if you don't know them, they're like a lesbian couple. They were just dating at the time and like moved in, I think. They're married now, which, yes. But like, I was just like, that's so cute. And it was a relationship that like I hadn't really seen a lot, like, if that makes sense. Like, I had watched Glee, but it was the first time that like there was a lot of focus, and it was like really personal, you know, because it's very genuine, because it was just them. It wasn't like a show or anything, which I still think seeing it more in shows would have helped, but I think it also helped that that was just like their lives. This was just their casual like relationship, and just how much they loved each other and how they interacted like so naturally. And it was really kind of the first time that I saw it like that. And I think what really sucks is the main really exposure to like a lesbian relationship that is out there is, you know, porn. Like, bluntly, that's what it is. And like maybe there were some 12, 13-year-old, 14-year-olds that are out there like binge watching it, but like I wasn't. Like I would come across it on accident on like Tumblr or something and get like freak the heck out because I'm like super innocent. But like that was really the main exposure to anything like that I had. And when you look at that, like for me at least, I wasn't like, oh yeah, like that's my life, you know? And why would I look at that and be like, that's my life? Because that's not real at all. So to have something this real, and like it was just a relationship, like it wasn't just based off of like the sexual factor, which is what a lot of the exposure is. It was like so emotional based, and seeing that emotional like based relationship that was gay, I looked at that and I was like, I could be in that. I would love to be in that. Like, that's where I feel like I could be happy, you know? And I hadn't seen like a lesbian relationship before and thought that. So this was when it really like was like, oh, I'm not straight because I could be in a not straight relationship. And I feel like that's sad that I had to watch these like two YouTuber girls be like in a valid relationship when I was, you know, 14 or 13 to like finally realize that, like that I couldn't see that as an actual relationship before. That just shows you how like heteronormative it is in our society, because I just hadn't seen that before. So upon this realization, I didn't really like tell anyone about it. I just kind of kept it to myself, not because I was necessarily scared, just because I think I didn't have a great understanding of how I identified at the time, because I was like, okay, this all kind of adds up, but like, am I allowed to be gay? Because it was still like that thing, like, you know, other people are, but like, it's weird. It's like, oh, is that something that can apply to me? It's it's weird. I don't know how to describe like that feeling to someone, but it's just like for a long time you don't realize that like you could be this way. Like say you like you don't realize you could be an astronaut, but like maybe you could be, you can't, like you will be an astronaut. I don't know. Great metaphors over here. But so that was the real realization point. I could talk about like so many things that went into this, but like that would be so long, and this has already been so long, and I don't know how much all I want to say in this exact thing. So I think I'm basically going to close off anything that's past that point. And if I feel like I want to clarify on other things that happened after that point, like I'll make more videos about that. But for the sake of time and focusing on pinpointing on what this video is about, I think I'm going to end it on that timeline, but I'm going to go back a bit actually. So I had my first kiss ever when I was 10 or 11. It was the summer before 5th grade. I don't know if it was before or after my birthday, and it was with a girl. And so this was a part of like Truth or Dare, which was interesting because it was just me and her, but she dared me to kiss her. And I was like, oh, ha, 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 like funny. And I did. Like, it wasn't like a, oh, like that's gay thing. It was just like, oh, it's scandalous, like kissing another human being. And it didn't really mean like anything serious to me. Like, it wasn't mind-blowing or anything. I was just like, oh, funny. Like, that's what teenagers do, even though I wasn't even close to being a teenager. But afterwards, like a little after this, she started to get really freaked out by it. And so she came from like a richer, probably more religious than my family was. So I feel like she had already been taught like that was bad, where I hadn't. She started to say things like, oh my gosh, I need to tell my parents. I shouldn't have done that. I don't feel comfortable here. Like, I think I'm gonna go home. And that obviously really freaked me out because I was worried that she was gonna tell her parents would tell mine, and she's so freaked about her parents knowing, like, what does that mean about my parents knowing? Also, I felt offended and like hurt because she had dared me. It wasn't like something I had done, and she was making me feel kind of like as if I was the instigator, as if I had made her uncomfortable. And you don't ever want to feel like you made someone uncomfortable, and it like upset me that I felt like the instigator when she had dared me. But so after that, we didn't really talk about it, but I still wanted to like be close to her, not necessarily like kiss her, but like I wanted to hug her all the time, and just like I was easily jealous over things that happened with her. So obviously a big crush, probably like my first ginormous crush of my life. And the funny thing is now she's out. It isn't like a really like cute like stable relationship. So like, hey, full circle. Yeah, I obviously had like really strong feelings for her. So that was kind of probably the strongest moment of like my childhood up to like, you know, 7th grade, when I had a crush on that one girl who I think I mainly had a crush on her because she had a crush on me, and I was like, oh my gosh, like someone likes me. But so it really is interesting that I had that strong of feelings for a girl that young, and that it still took me years and years afterwards to be like, okay, I'm not straight, which is because I just never thought that that was something I could be, and that's because of the heteronormativity. Yes, that. So I just want to really highlight that, because a lot of people are like, do we really need like LGBTQ plus like people in like shows or books or like movies and stuff like that? And yes, because like you don't realize like that you can be any of those things when you're that young, because you just assume like, oh, those are for other people, like like some people are just different, you know, but you don't think like, oh, I could be different. I think it would have helped me a lot to have stuff like that. So yeah, thanks for watching. Subscribe, cause I'm awesome. And I'll probably make more videos about this in the future, because going forwards I had to make the whole choice of like, what do I certainly identify as, so I can talk about that a little more in detail, my experiences through high school. I ended up joining my school's GSA and becoming leader of it, so you know I can talk about that too. But yeah, that's kind of like the entire beginning, I guess. So thanks for watching. Bye!